Good day everyone, and welcome to this week's Inventor featured video. And what I'll be showcasing how to do today is create some basic holds inside of Inventor. To begin the process, we'll head over to our ribbon where we find all our tools and features that can be used and start the hold command. Once the hold command has been started, the dialog box will appear and we shall read this like a book, top down, left to right. And the first specification that we'll need to make is define where our hole will begin. In order to do this, I simply have to navigate to my component, select the top face, and a preview of the hole will appear. The second step in defining the input geometry will be to define the hole position. This can simply be done by navigating to your model edges and using those as references. Once I select an edge, a dimension will appear and I can type in a distance to specify the position of the hole. So we have one dimension at this stage, and to completely locate this, I'll select another reference edge and simply type in another dimension, which will be 15 millimeters. Once my hole position has been defined, I can start configuring the shape and size of this hole. In the dialog box, we will have type. Type will allow me to define whether I want a thread or not, or the type of thread. You have a couple. You have a clearance hole, tapped hole, and taper tapped. In this case, I shall select the tapped hole or tapped threading option and define a seat. Got a couple options there, countersunk, and as I go through these options, you'll notice the preview actually updates. In this case, I'll choose a counterbore option. Once that has been done, I then navigate to the thread specifications. So you have all your different standard thread profile types that you can use. I'll grab isometric and stipulate a size of having a hole of 4 millimeters in diameter. We can then specify the designation or pitch, which will be 0.5, as well as a class. Next up is to actually define how far down is this hole going, so the depth. And in order to do that relatively quickly, you've got different options here, but I'm going to make this hole go completely through my model by selecting a termination of through all. The preview will adapt, and once that's been done, I can make some changes to my hole sizing by simply referencing this easy to use diagram at the bottom, which will allow me to make those configurations. For example, I can change the counterbore diameter to 10 millimeters, and always reference your preview, guys. This will showcase what exact changes you're making to your hole. From then on, I can actually go to the depth and type in 4 millimeters. Counterbore depth will adapt, and for my thread distance, so how far down is my thread going in the hole, I'll adjust that to 6 millimeters. So this preview is quite nice and easy to reference. It allows you to make quick manipulations to your hole and reference that relatively easily. Once these configurations have been done, I now want to add additional holes at each corner of this feature. In order to do that, I simply select the face of my model once again, and a new preview shall appear. Once that preview has appeared, I can go make some additional configurations. However, I want all these holes to be exactly the same, so all I need to do is define its placements. Once again, how do we define a placement? We simply reference the edges of our model and specify our dimension values. Okay, so that's my second hole done, and all I do is follow the same procedure of selecting the face and dimensioning the rest of these holes in reference to my model edges. Once I have all my holes that have been specified, I can simply select OK from the property panel, and we have confirmation that our hole has been generated. Okay, so we have the counterbore as well as the thread that's been populated on these whole features. In terms of editing these whole functions, it's quite easy. You'll notice in your model browser we have a whole feature created. What's really nice about this is if we make edits to one feature, all the holes will adapt accordingly. So let me do one example. I'm going to double click on this feature. It will activate my whole dialog box, and for example I'll head over to the bottom and make the counter bore slightly smaller, 6 millimeters, so we can see that change populate, and select OK. Fantastic. Okay, so that basically defines the process of creating a hole inside of Inventor 2021.